Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. It's MLL here and I am going to be talking about day 2 of my Ontario M2 motorcycle course training experience. That was a long name. Woo! Anyways, this is day 2 of me on the bike. It is actually a 3-day course. If you didn't watch part 1, watch part 1. I'll put it in the link, the description, the link below. Put the link in the description below, and I'll just put it up here as well. Like I stated, on day 1 of riding, I was intimidated first and then got like full confidence. Day 2 was a different experience. So they started at 8 in the morning, but they did ask us to come for 7:30 because they wanted us to pick out our bikes. Our bikes do have a number on it, so if you did remember what your bike number was on day 1 of riding, you were able to say, I want 23 or I want 60 or whatever, whichever number. I didn't remember the number, but I did remember that I had a Honda and it was red and white, so I just requested any red and white Honda I would take because they're the same. They're the same, but yeah, so that's what I did. I didn't get the same bike because this bike here was like loud. It was really loud. They were saying there was something wrong with it. You're still able to ride it, but they were saying there was something like loose, or not loose, but something going on with it. That's why it's so loud. I don't want you guys to be like, oh my gosh, they're giving you damaged bikes to ride. No, they're not. But yeah, there was something going on with that. That's why it was so loud. So I'm like, okay, this is not the same bike. Anyways, so once you get your bikes, they line you up into your 2 groups of 15 again. So we had one half, the other had the other half of the parking lot. Then they went through bike inspection. So they just talked about like checking your tires, checking your bolts, making sure you have gas, checking your chains, making sure your throttle, like if you twist it pushes back, and they just went through the inspection and making sure that you keep your bike maintenance up to date as much as possible, like getting oil changes and all that stuff. So we went through that. Then they showed us this grand obstacle. And I say grand obstacle because it took up the whole parking lot and all 30 of us were going to participate in this obstacle together. So yeah, you know what? I was actually excited about this grand obstacle when they were explaining it, because they had a roundabout in the middle of the parking lot, and then you had like your exits, and you're coming in to the roundabout, and then to one side they had lane changes. So they wanted us to obviously check your blind spot signal, check your blind spot again, and then move off into the lane change. So they made us do a left lane change and then a right lane change, and it was just it was like the real world, to tell you the truth, because even when you got out of the roundabout and you exit, you would have to like say, okay, am I gonna make a left or am I gonna make a right, and decide, signal, and then just because there's other cars, you have to like make sure you merge in there smoothly, you're not cutting off anybody or anything like that. So, and you need to signal because there's people behind you as well. And it was a free-for-all, so it wasn't like follow the leader and you just did what you wanted, really. If you never wanted to do any of the lane changes, you didn't have to go around there. And if you never wanted to go into the roundabout, you really didn't have to go. You could just ride around, do the lane changes, and just skip that. But they didn't recommend that. Obviously, try everything. Try to do a left turn, try to do a right turn, go into the roundabout a few times, just do everything. And it was just, yeah. So when they were showing it, I was like, yeah, this looks fun. But when I went to do the obstacle course, could I tell you, it was so intimidating. Like, it was very nerve-wracking because, for one, it's just pylons everywhere, so you get confused. Like, you're riding and you're like, wait, am I in the right lane? And they tell you to keep your head up. They don't want you looking down, but you're looking down to be like, okay, make sure I'm in the right lane of these pylons because you don't want someone coming the opposite way and they're like, hey, you're on the left side or something like that. So there were actually a few people who had to pull off to the side and were like, woo, this is yeah, this is like, whoa, this is a little too much. I stalled a million times. I cannot tell you how many times I stalled. I went I would go around the roundabout, exit, and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make a left. So then I'll like do my signal to make my left, and then you would have to wait because there's riders coming, so I have to wait and merge in there safely. So I'm like, okay, when this rider's gone, I'm gonna merge. So then they would pass, and then I would go, but then I would let go of the clutch too quickly and not put enough throttle gas, and then I would stall, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, because there's people behind me waiting, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, and they're like, it's okay, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go again, stall. It was like, oh my gosh, I was not like, this should not have been the first exercise or the first obstacle course that we should have done. I was not ready, and a few people were not ready, honestly. But all in all, it was fun. Actually, I did enjoy myself a little bit. I say a little because I was very nervous. I enjoyed the lane changing side, but when it came to the merging into the roundabout and coming out of the roundabout and merging left or merging right into the other riders, it got very intimidating. And then you're looking down to make sure, okay, I'm in the right spot, but then they're like, head up, look into the direction that you want to go into. It's like, yes, but I have to make sure I'm in the right lane first. So that was the first obstacle. Bit of up and down, like, oh, I'm enjoying this, and then few moments of intimidation, like, oh, I don't want to do this, oh my goodness, I'm not doing this right, oh geez, whatever. Because even after that obstacle, they were like, how did you feel? And I was like, don't ever do that again. But no, but I was like, yo, that was intimidating. And they're like, that's the real world, that's actually it. You're gonna have to be merging into traffic, you're gonna have to be watching out for other people and stuff. When we do our exercises, that no one's gonna be in your way because everyone's in their own lane, but in the real world, you have to watch out for people. I'm like, yeah, true, but I'm not ready for that yet. I still need to be in my own lane practicing. No, I wasn't ready for that. But anyways, overall, I did somewhat enjoy that course. So after the free-for-all obstacle course, they end up splitting us back into our groups of 15, and then they made a course where we could practice our counter steering. So it's basically pushing the bike in the direction that you want to go into on a curve or a turn. They were saying like most accidents happen on curves and turns, so they really wanted us to learn proper techniques when we're doing that, because we're in the parking lot and we're like in first gear doing it. So they wanted us to kind of bump up the speed in our curves and turns, actually, and just practice our counter steering and not braking in them. So what they did was they made it into like a figure 8 kind of motion into our half of the parking lot. So we started off by making a left turn. So we started off making a left turn, and we just kept going. We didn't stop, and then we just continue, and then go in the middle, and then make the rights on the other side. What I noticed that they wanted us to keep a certain speed. If we were going too slow, they'd be like, speed it up. You're moving too slow. Make sure you turn the bike a little bit more. So they just wanted us to practice counter steering and making sure that we have full control of our bikes in a higher speed that we were not really used to from day one. They wanted us to actually now pick up the speed a little bit. You guys are starting to get used to the bike, pick up the speed. Remember, your counter steering, like to turn more so you don't actually fall and stuff. So we did that for a while. I enjoyed it. I really did enjoy that course. And then they showed us a way how we could turn more smoothly into a curve. So what they suggested, this is for a curve, not like an actual right turn and all that stuff, like if you're going through anyways, they said something about like going from the outside in out. It's more smooth that way. So they had us practicing that kind of turning thing. I don't remember the terminology, to be very honest with you, but yeah, it actually did feel smoother. And I found that when I was first doing it, I did really have to do the counter steering to be like, okay, don't fall or anything. But once I kind of got that kind of like a swerve thing going on there, the bike did feel smoother going through the curve. Yeah, I didn't fall or anything. I wasn't nervous or anything. I just did it at this point. My confidence level was already pretty good from day one, so I kind of kept that into day two. It did kind of go down from the first obstacle course, but it was still pretty up there, so I wasn't freaking out or anything. I was just like, okay, we did curves last time, it's just they want us to do it faster and more smoothly now. So now, after we perfected smoothing out our turns around curves and turns, smoothing out our turns around. Anyways, you know what I'm saying. So they actually showed us how to stop. They stop at the end of a curve or turn, and how to do an emergency stop where we have to stop in the middle of a curve or turn. I was like, because they tell us not to stop because you go skid and stuff, but obviously they tell you have to straighten up your bike first. So they showed us that technique. How was I feeling? I was okay, but I noticed around this time I was stalling so much, and I was just like, I was kind of beating myself up because I'm like, why am I stalling this much? I wasn't stalling like this yesterday, day one on the bike, and that was my very first day sitting on the bike. And now on day two, I have a little more experience, and I kept stalling, and I was just like, oh my goodness, stop the stalling at this point. And it actually, when we did the figure eight, so this time, we did the curve, and you had to stop, because we were practicing stopping, and then you go do the next curve, stop, and then go into the middle to do the figure eight to turn on the opposite side. There was a time where I was going to do the right turn, and I kind of hit the throttle by accident while I was holding my brake. And then yeah, so the bike did some kind of jerky something, because I was actually gonna get ready to go, but I wanted to take off the clutch, let the friction part, the clutch kind of moved me, and then you add the throttle. That's how you're supposed to do it. But I didn't even realize I added the thing, because I was getting ready to release the clutch and then release the brakes. But I had that, and I heard the throttle, and I was like, oh my gosh. But then I released the clutch by accident, and then basically I dropped the bike. I felt it under me, ready to take off or whatever, and I was like, no, I'm not doing this. I'm doing it, but I'm not ready to go like that. So I actually dropped the bike, and then one of the instructors were like, are you okay? What happened? And I told him, yeah, man, I put throttle on. I still had the brakes on, but then I wasn't. He's like, no, that's not a good idea. And I was like, yeah, I hit the throttle by accident. I wasn't supposed to. And he's like, oh, okay. As long as you didn't fall and you're okay, that's fine. So I just got up back on the bike, and I continued doing the turns and stuff. And I remember I actually went on break, and then we came back that time, and they had a different obstacle course for us. It was a series of obstacle course, actually. So they had one where you had to do an emergency stop, and then we had to do okay, let me start from the beginning. You had a starting point, you had to ride, get up to second gear, keep a constant speed, then you do your emergency stop. Once you hit a certain pylon, you were allowed to do your emergency stop in between there. And same for was it a left? Yeah, stopping at a left turn. at the end. We didn't have to stop in the middle of the turn. So same thing, you had a starting point, you rode up to second gear, kept that speed for a consistent rate, and then after you go through the turn, if you want to gear down then or whatever, do whatever, go through the turn and make sure you stop before you hit the line. Then we had another obstacle where it was just a curve. They just said just go through it. You don't even have to stop at the end. Like the line is there, but you don't have to stop there. You can stop before it, but you want to know that you can keep a certain speed through that curve. So they wanted you to go into the curve. It was a long curve, so you had time to build up to go to second gear, and go through it and just keep going. That one was more of a timer that they wanted you to go through that curve. The other one was a right turn. That one you had to do in the friction because it was tight, so you couldn't really put in throttle at the you kind of had to make the clutch take you off, and then once you completed the turn you could actually start to kick in some throttle, because then you would go straight. And then they had a box. They drew a box on the ground where they wanted your front tire to stop into. And then they also just had a next line where it was from here to here. It was the same as the curve, but that was more like a line. Kind of curvish, but it was more like a line to me. And then you go through, because that one now, they actually had borders where they're like, you cannot cross these borders in the line. Yeah, so they wanted to make sure you were straight in the middle. So so we had that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 obstacles that we were doing. I struggled with that right one because that day I was just having such a hard time getting the clutch and the throttle to work together. That twisty moment. I was letting go of the clutch too fast, not putting enough throttle, and it was just, I was stalling McStalling-ton. I was like, what is going on? So when I'm doing the right turn and I'm like, okay, can't really put that much thing because I'm gonna go out of the lines after the right turn, because then you go straight and you stop in the box. I stalled a billion times, and even when I stopped in the box and then you have to move off to go to the next obstacle course, I stalled there. There was a point where I thought the bike was going because it was going off of the clutch, so I put my foot up just to realize that the thing stalled on me, and I feel it tilting, and I'm like, nope, I'm not going down. So I jump off the bike falls, obviously, and the instructor's like, what happened? And I was like, I thought the bike was going, but it actually stalled on me. It was going off the clutch, but I didn't put enough throttle. And he's like, okay, you didn't fall. And he's like, you're okay. And I'm like, yeah. But then the next instructor was like, Megan, you can't just keep dropping bikes. We have to write you up or something. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm just going downhill at this point. I was just like, why is this happening? Day 1 was awesome, and day 2 is hot. And I'm not getting this. Why is this happening right now? And now I have to get not necessarily rid of you're terrible, but what happened and the bike fell and whatever. An incident, more of an incident report. And I was just like, oh my gosh. So then after the instructor was like, it's okay, just let go of this slowly, add more throttle. And I'm like, I know. And he's like, I'm like, but I don't know. I don't know. It was really in my head, and I was just being overwhelmed with everything, because I'm like, the exam is coming up. I'm not getting this damn right turn. Sorry. I'm not getting this right turn. And I keep stalling, and I dropped the bike twice now. And he even said, you have to stop dropping the bike, because if you drop the bike, you fail. And I was like, oh Lord, can't this get any worse? So the same thing. So we were practicing those 5 obstacles for a while, actually. And the same thing happened to me again. I thought the bike was going, it stalled, the bike fell, and the instructor came. And he picked up the bike, and I remember seeing just liquid coming out from it. And I was like, I'm so sorry. And he's like, no, it's okay. Don't worry. It's okay. And I'm like, I need a break. I'm like, I need a break. And he's like, it's okay. Yes, take your break. Drink some water. I know sometimes the left hand could get tired and everything. And he was just being so sweet to me. Like, he's like, it's okay. Don't worry. Take your break. And I was like, okay. I took off my helmet and I walked straight to my car with water in my eyes. I sat in my car and I cried. Yeah, I cried. I was like, I don't think I'm gonna do this. I don't think I can do this. I don't know what's going on with me today. The exam's coming up and I'm not getting this. I don't know what's wrong. And I called my husband and I was like, I'm coming home. I can't do this. And he's like, no, you can do that or whatever. But then two of my instructors actually came. We had three. Two of them came and one came on the bike and they're like, you okay? And he kind of directed the other one like, she's over here in her car. And so he came. What was his name? Stuart. Yeah, he came and he talked to me and he was like, hubby, tell her that she's doing fine. Everything's gonna be okay. Tell her you love her and tell her to get back out there. Because I was this close to, if my husband said, come home, I'd have been like, I would even tell them I was gone. I would just left and go home. But I had encouraging people to say, it's gonna be okay. Stop beating yourself up. You're doing fine. You just have to get out of your head. So I actually drank some water, cried a little bit more. I didn't tell my husband I was crying on the phone. You'd talk and he'd be like, are you listening to me? Because you're not answering while I'm there. Like, I didn't want him to know I was crying because he's gonna be like, hey, stop. Like, stop. Like, why are you crying? Stop it. So I just like, yes, I'm hearing you. I was a mess. I tell you, I was a mess. Because I was like, I'm gonna fail. And I'm gonna have to do this over again, or I wasted all my money. I'm not ready for this. I just sat on a bike yesterday and now they're testing me. Like, and I was just way caught up in here. Because the way I was doing yesterday compared to day 2, it was just two different riders, really. Because even when I got back, the instructor was like, what happened? You were doing so well. And I was like, no, I don't know. And he was like, you need to get out of here. You're doing fine, but you just keep beating yourself up and you're trying to be perfect. And it's like, this is your second time on the bike. You're learning still. And it's like, yes, it's true. By the time I even got back, I did the right turn obstacle course twice. I was kind of successful. And then it was like, boom, exam time. And I was like, oh Lord, here we go. And the truth is, those 5 obstacles that we were doing the whole time for a very long time were the things that were on the exam, plus a swerving obstacle. So it was 6 obstacles that we had to do. Stopping at a curve, emergency stop, just keeping a certain speed through a curve, right turn, going straight, and you had to stay in between, not even in between the lines, because they had the lines there, but they made like more narrow lines inside after you made the right turn that you had to stay inside. And then you stopped in a box your front tire stopped in the box, and then you would go through that again, staying in between those narrow lines that they made for you, and you stop in that box on the other side. Then you had the swerve as well, the same, build up your speed to second gear, keep it at a consistent second gear speed, and then you had the instructor telling you if you're going to swerve left or if you're going to swerve right. Everyone passed except for one person. It wasn't me. I passed. If you watch the first video, you would have known I passed already, because I actually got my license that same day when I went to because I brought it to my parents' house, so I came to pick it up, and I was like, I got my license today, and I made the video same time. But yeah, everyone passed except for one person. We all of us don't know why she didn't pass. It's really none of our business. That's between her and the person who's doing the test. They did allow you up to 11 points. I don't really know how the pointing system worked. I don't know if it was like, oh, you didn't go, if you were under speed, it's like, that's 2 points, or you touched the line, that's 3. I don't know how it worked, but they said that you're allowed up to 11 points, and if you get there, then you failed. But I'm sure they would tell you like, you got 3 points for touching the line, or you got whatever for doing this, or whatever. But I honestly had nothing to worry about. I just had to stay calm and stuff. During the exam, I stalled twice. I stalled coming out of the emergency stop and going into the stopping and the curve. And it was like, next time, just believe in yourself. Because truth is, they're testing your confidence. They're really just testing your confidence to make sure that you're comfortable on the bike and that you could actually manage the bike. Because if you're comfortable and you're able to manage the bike, you would actually go up to speed. You actually do the turns and the curves and the stops and everything. Overall, my experience with this course was A++++++. The instructors, they're just so loving towards me, especially when I had my little meltdown. They were like, it's okay, don't worry, giving me encouraging words, helping me to improve. Very patient, and that's what you really need, is patience. So yeah, the instructors at the Sheridan College at the mtohp. I hope I said that right. I hope I said that right. But I will have a link to their website down below anyways. They were awesome, and I had an awesome time. And I'm going to show you a picture of my license with that M2 added on to there. So yeah, I'm happy. I am nervous to get a bike and start practicing for my full M license. That's the next step, pretty much. Get a bike of my own. I don't want to get like a fancy dancy bike. I just want to get a practice bike. And then when I feel confident and everything, when I bruised up and batter up that bike, I could get a nice, this is my ride right here. So that's the plan for now. Obviously, it's not going to be this summer. This summer is over, so that'll be for next summer. I'll look and see what the average prices are, start saving, and then average price for a beat up bike that I could just practice with, and then start saving and stuff to get that. But yeah, I hope this was helpful to you guys. If you have any questions about the program, you guys could leave a comment, question, anything in the comment box below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And thank you for being a part of my journey, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.